So I launched the ads last night at $100 a day, and to be honest with you, they're doing fucking well. Now, this is a tiny, tiny, tiny micro testing budget, but I'm really happy with the results so far. So if you haven't watched episode 1, it was the first video. I'm trying to do a video a day, so you can go back and watch that. But I'm just going to assume that you've watched all of my content. So here we go. Let's just go through these ads. So we're over here, we've only spent $43 so far today, so absolutely nothing. But the thing is I don't need that much data to be able to tell whether or not this funnel is going to work. For reference, our average order value is $340. This pixel that we're spending ads, like running traffic to, has got nearly $1 million, or probably about $800,000 worth of revenue pushed through it for this specific price point. So it should just instantly hit. It knows exactly who it's looking for. And we've been spending $40,000, $50,000 a month on this pixel. So this is just a new funnel with a new test that I'm launching. So basically straight out the gate we should see pretty good results. And if the target we're going for is a 2 times return on ad spend on the front end, but we're looking for some better stats basically. So if you didn't watch yesterday's video, essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to get our conversion, our registration rate. The target is to get that back to a 30% registration rate, and our conversion rate currently has been a 2.7%. We did a lot of changes, so I'm trying to get this back to a 3.89%. If you want more context, go ahead and just watch yesterday's video. And this means, right, that my target is around a 2x that we're trying to get to, which means that our average order value is circa roughly $450. So essentially what I'm trying to do is our cost per acquisition equals that divided by 1.8. If we spend $250 on ads and I don't make a single sale, essentially we're basically got to the point where this funnel is broken for something is broken. I'll probably spend up to our average order value, or at least our front end purchase price, which is $340, because once I spend 1x and if it doesn't make a sale, then like it's not going to fucking work, especially with this pixel. If it was a brand new pixel, it'd be something slightly different. So I don't need to spend much to be able to see whether or not this is going to work. Now there are 2 things we want to look at here. Number 1, registration rate. Number 2 is conversion rate, and then number 3, let me show you, is our retention stats. So don't listen to the sign up rate. This is complete bollocks, but basically our registration rate has been around 25%. I'll show you all of our stats. The whole point of this channel is I want to break down KPIs, because one thing that really pisses me off is business owners that make just qualitative content. Like, we can't make decisions as business owners with just like, oh yeah, we run ads and we get a good cost per registration, we get a good cost per call. Like, I want to show you the stats all the way through. So if you're trying to do something similar with automated webinars, you can see what our KPIs are. All right. So essentially we're getting, this is about 28,000 people showing up to our webinar. Now, what I'm basically doing is when I run this webinar, I'll show you how I do it. Most people run just-in-time webinars. Now, we're using WebinarJam. It's a bit of a crap software, but it works. They only have, the minimum that you can do is 15 minutes before the webinar starts. You have to have like a 15-minute waiting room. So they do it like every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or you do every half an hour, or every like on the hour as like a just-in-time, which is really annoying, because what I want to do is just like push them straight in to the live webinar. Now, you can do on demand where they go straight into the replay, but the problem is like it says watch the replay now, whereas I want to basically just make it feel a little bit more live. Now I'm just blowing out the names of the webinars just so I'm trying to keep the brand name a little bit hidden. But essentially what you need to do is if you go in here and you click on your links, and then you want to click like attendees, direct link to live room, and just copy this URL here. When you come into the webinar setup and you go to the thank you page, just do redirect to my own custom page. So when they register, and then just paste that link in here. And what that will mean is as soon as they register, they get pushed straight into the live room. So there's none of that 15-minute waiting time, especially for a B2C audience. Like, to be honest with you, I wish that I could just get people to register this without even putting in their email address, because we're losing out on like 70% of the traffic that we're paying for because we have to collect their emails. And now there is an argument for we do make sales on the back end from the email marketing, but I'll talk a little bit more about this later on in the future video. If this webinar starts performing, we're going to start testing basically spoofing WebinarJam, where we use their API and we just push across bogus email addresses, random generated email addresses, so anyone can click a button and go straight into the webinar room without having to give us their email. And then we'll give away some form of lead magnet halfway through the webinar, or we'll give a 2-step order form on the back end so we can collect emails for abandoned checkouts, and then we send those abandoned cart emails to those people. Because my thinking is we are just burning through, literally it fucks me off so much. We are spending a good amount of money on ads, and you can see here like this is only $40, but like when you're spending $50, $60, $70,000 a month, you want to kind of capture as much fucking data and leads as you possibly can. And so we're spending $40, and so here we've had 38 link clicks, 27 landing page views, and I think so far, well, I can see it was about 8 people have registered for the webinar. So 8 over 27, we're getting a 30% registration rate, which is better than we had before. Obviously, initial data, we've got to take that with a grain of salt, but you can see what would happen if we had all 27 of those people being pushed straight into the webinar. Would we get better conversion rates? I don't know. That's something that I want to test. So that's essentially how we do it, is I just basically push traffic straight into the live room rather than having to wait for 15 minutes. So the three metrics we're kind of looking at the moment are, what is the conversion rate on the webinar? So from shows to purchases, that's what I look at. I don't care about how many people saw the pitch and then how many people purchased and the people that saw the pitch. It's purely just like, what is that conversion rate? And then the second thing I'm looking at is the registration percentage, and then the third thing is the average watch time / the retention graph. Now this is what our old retention graph looks like. It's not bad, like it's not great, but it's not terrible. This is a blisteringly cold audience, right? Now obviously you're going to lose a fucking huge majority of people in this first 5 minutes. Everyone says you want to get 80% retention to your pitch. That is usually for a live webinar. Now if I show you some of our live webinar events, you're getting a really, really, really good retention. In fact, it even goes up, and then it's just super stable, right? As people join the webinar, and then it just stays flat, and you get like a really, really strong watch time. Now that's because it's a live audience and it's also a warm audience. When you're running automated webinars to a cold audience, your retention to get 80% people to a pitch, like that's gonna be mad fucking impressive, but that's still the target. And essentially what I wanna do is I wanna look at what does that retention graph look like. If we can see an improvement in the retention graph, then overall I'm gonna be happy. Anyway, the point is, this is what our retention graph looks like at the moment. Now, obviously this here is when I present the price, and so you're gonna get a hefty drop off when you present the price. We've only had 8 people register / 8 people attend this class, so I'm not expecting like shit tons of data yet, but the fact that we're getting a dead flat line from the people like from here to here, that's pretty good. Obviously 12 people attended and then 5 people stayed at 5 minutes. That's not great. We're getting a lot of people dropping off in the first 5 minutes, but to be honest with you, this is the issue with doing a cold traffic, like really simple B2C webinar where you're getting people on. You're going to get a mega fucking drop off at the beginning because people are like on their phones, they're commuting to work, whatever they're doing. That's why sometimes people do the just in time. They have the 15-minute waiting room in the front because then it will arbitrarily increase their retention on the webinar. But this kind of stuff fucks me off when business owners like they put in things that I would say deliberately tank your funnel. It disqualifies people from coming through. Now, I get it if you're doing sales calls, right? Because if you're doing sales calls, you don't want your closers only speaking with low quality people. Now, the funnel that we're going to be running is the whole goal is when people purchase, we're then going to send them into a high ticket program and we're going to get people to book in. And the idea is we're going to try and get 60 to 70% of people just booking in straight away from when they purchase based on how I present the stack at the end of the webinar. But we'll also have a setter that dials everyone that purchases and tries to book them onto a call as well to try and get nearly 100% of people that buy onto the salesperson's calendar. That's a different caliber of lead, right? That's someone who's already spent $500 with us. They may not be the most like financially, literate people because it's a B2C audience. It's not necessarily going to be speaking with burning hot leads every single time, but it's a much higher intent lead than just a simple free book call lead. So my point to this argument is when people say, we're getting like an 80% retention, 2 things to take into account. That is with live webinars. And number 2, ordinarily, you have filtered out the bottom feeders that aren't going to watch the webinar anyway. And so what we're doing here is we're pushing in everyone. The only filter we have is you have to give us your email. If I didn't have to do that, I just push fucking literally everyone into this webinar because I'm going on volume here. It's a B2C market. It's a low ticket product. I just want people to go through the webinar. I couldn't give a fuck what the retention is. If I can get it higher, great. But like the fact is, if I had the just-in-time waiting room, we'd probably drop off this. We wouldn't have such a steep drop because those people would have just left and bounced in the waiting room. But there's a chance that some more people would have just bounced in the waiting room because they're like, I'm just waiting for 15 fucking minutes for no apparent reason, right? And if I push them into the webinar, at least they're then getting information and then I have the chance to retain them with the stuff that I'm kind of presenting in the class rather than like just fucking waiting in the waiting room. And so my point being, this drop off is going to be high because we're just pushing volume straight into the webinar room. But seeing this and this being super flat, that's a good sign to start with. I strongly doubt it's going to remain that flat. Now, as you can see, we have 9 registrations coming in here. That is 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them so far have watched an hour. The rest of them haven't really watched more than they've watched between 0 and 5 minutes. This person has just literally registered 3-4 minutes ago, so we'll see what their attention goes to. But I found that this is usually the case, is people either watch the whole fucking thing or they watch nothing. Now, this is a really good sign though, because for the people that are watching all the way through to the pitch, for reference, when I start the offer and I say, can I ask you guys a question? Can I get your approval? Can I pitch you guys something? At that point, it's 49 minutes in. I think the price point comes in or I start the join now button, but I present the price saying this is now $340 a year at 1 hour and 3 minutes in. And so that's why you're seeing a clear drop off with those people, because they see the price and then they bounce. This is where my apprehension comes in. We've removed a value stack, and we're basically just doing what Jeremy Haynes says and a lot of other people say, which is, to be fair, compliant, where you basically just say here's what you're getting and here's the price, and there's no like anchor, there's no price drop, which is really fucking frustrating, because that will definitely improve conversion rates with the B2C audience. But I think I have a workaround for that, which I'm going to come up with, and I'll talk about in just a second. But the point is, when I ran this before in the past, like for the old webinar, we would get people staying for like 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 15 minutes or 26 minutes, and a lot of people dropping off like earlier on in the class. Whereas this, touch wood, obviously very new data, we're getting a lot of a stronger kind of like signal that the webinar has better retention, like it is a better webinar, people are watching, and if they start watching, they're more than likely to continue to the end. And so I want to see how this spreads out over the next coming days. So with that being said, let's go back into the ad manager and kind of break things down a little bit. So I am super happy with this. If I just go ahead and refresh, we've got 9 registrations, we spent $45, like I say, fuck all budget, but $93 CPM, whatever, it's expensive, the industry that we're in, you know, that's going to be the case. If I come over here and we look at the click-through rate, this is what is really impressing me. A 7.9%. This ad is converting at a 9% click-through rate. And in our fucking industry, that is actually insane. We're getting a $1.10 cost per click. This one's at $2.50, which is wank, but that is what we were getting before. I think on average we're getting like a $2.30 cost per click. I'll literally show you all of our stats for the last like fucking 12 months if you want, so you can have a look at what we're doing. But anyway, so this is really strong. I'm really happy with this. And the reason why is because we have spent, all right, $45. We've got 9 registrations. So our cost per registration is $5. $5 for a single registration. That is huge, because what we were getting beforehand, if you can see, if I go back to a 25% registration rate and a 2.7, this is what we had. This is our benchmark of around $11 to $12 cost per registration. So with this new ad angle and our new funnel, we're getting 50% cheaper leads through to the funnel. And so we're also getting, if you look here, 9 people, we've had 27 landing page views, so 9 over 27. We're getting a 33% registration rate. So straight out the gate, we're getting 33% here. We're getting a cost per landing page view of, on average, $1.69, so 1.69. Even if our conversion rate stays the same at 2.7%, that's a $2.37. If we can get this back to a 4% conversion rate like we had before, we're going to be printing cash on the front end, and our back end is going to rinse as well. We'll be doing a 6 times return on ad spend. So I am fucking over the moon with how this is performing on the front end. This offer seems to be hitting. These ads seems to be pretty good. I ironically thought that actually like this middle ad would be the best ad. It's not got any spend at all, but you know, we'll see. Yeah, I would have thought that would be the better one, but it's obviously clearly not. But anyway, the point is, I'm really happy with how things are performing so far on this side. So here's our rough month-by-month ad reporting. So just to kind of give you a bit more of a perspective, so you can kind of have a look at how this is roughly working. And I said I'm going to be completely transparent on this channel. This is the whole point. Is it really annoys me. As a business owner, I'm watching guys on YouTube and they share their tactics and they all run coaching programs, right? I have a plan of what I'm going to sell you guys in the future, and it's not coaching. And what pisses me off is when they talk about stuff, they don't show actual raw data. And people will make these claims. And this is another thing, right? A lot of things that you hear on the internet about, like, oh, test this thing, this has made a massive conversion rate difference for us. Half of it's fucking bollocks. Like, half of it actually makes no difference whatsoever. And I've put actual real dollars behind it to test it and see what happens. And so now you can look at this and you can start to see what you can expect if you're spending on like an automated webinar funnel. Now, our webinar, I would say, is pretty shit. That's why we're trying to improve it. But, you know, don't all come at me in the comments. So between June through to like September, our ad spend was tiny, like 4 to 10 grand a month. We only really started taking things seriously in October and November. And then we brought on a media buyer who fucked everything for us around this period of time, which we quickly fired. But the point is we went to worldwide targeting for a bit in the middle, and then we went back to doing top countries in the end of February. And so some of this data is skewed, hence why I have this highlighted green section. But if you look here, October, November, and December, that's kind of the key things for us to look for. What I'm trying to see is how did our conversion rates change? What happened? And what is the difference? Like, why have we suddenly stopped making so much profit? And so our CPMs prior, like we're doing worldwide, right? So we go from October, November, December, are around that $90 range. When I come back in March and April, it's been all over the place. It's all been a little bit random, but it's been a lot cheaper. Now, obviously, when you can see here, we're starting to spend on ads again. We're back up that $90 CPM. So things are looking a little bit more consistent, which is nice. The cost per click, about $2, $2.63, $2.69 over here. I don't really know what March is doing. I feel like that data is slightly wrong for March, but whatever. The point is, let's look at April, right? So the cost per click has been pretty consistent. The click-through rate has been similar. There's not really much difference, like $2.63 in the first part of December versus $2.69 in April. Yeah, it's a little bit expensive. That's probably a little bit due to ad fatigue, but there's nothing too crazy there. Cost per landing page view has been $2.90, $2.95. Yeah, it was a little bit cheaper around here. $1.50. So like the cost per clicks and everything, the front end stats are actually seemingly okay. Our cost per registration is a bit more expensive again, but like again, $9.27 versus $11. This is probably a downstream effect of having a slightly more expensive cost per click and our CPM and all that stuff and the ad fatigue. But if we come over here, this is where things get really interesting. So we have now our breakdowns. We have unique customers, and then we have our cost per sale. Now our cost per sale is higher than, or is lower, sorry, than our cost per acquisition because we have upsells. So you have, these are the people that took upsells, the difference between this and this. So 175 sales, but 110 unique customers. And so my only thing I give a fuck about is our cost per unique customer. And you can start to see, right, why over here our ROAS is pretty healthy at 2.5x, 1.7, 1.53. That's why I'm making good profit. And we're getting a $100 to $200 cost per acquisition. It starts to creep up as we're spending. I mean, we spent like $50,000 in these 2 months. I'm not really too surprised that our cost per acquisition does get to that $200 range. But then you can see when we start getting around this mark here, and we go back to top countries, our cost per acquisition has gone to 400, 578, 455. And so you can see my concern is like, what the fuck happened to drive our return on ad spend down to basically losing money over the last couple of months? And so this is where things get really interesting. As you look at our conversion rate prior to this media buy coming on and some stuff happening in January and targeting worldwide, we were getting a 5-6% conversion rate. Then we started really aggressively scaling ads, and I think our true conversion rate was around 4%. Because if you look at this, right, this is what's really interesting, is that spend there is the same as this spend here. So it's not like, okay, we're spending triple now what we were this time. And this is Q4, right? This is the most expensive time of year to be running ads. And so what I'm looking at is I'm saying, well, this is really interesting because if our conversion rate on the webinar was around 4%, it's dropped down to 1.7, 2.7, then no fucking wonder our return on ad spend has dropped. And this is why all of my attention right now, if we look at this graph, is coming back to this. Because if you see a 2.7, this is where, you know, it's going to impact a lot of our data. So I'm just going to put this back to what it used to be. And so this is what's driving our profit basically through the floor. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is interesting is because we rebranded around January. Now, the thing is, I don't know what has caused this, right? My initial gut instinct was, oh, okay, maybe we're getting pushed out by Claude because we're a software company, like Anthropic are just fucking everyone. That's option number one, which I don't think it is because I analyze all of our chats and no one even mentioned you can do this with like Higgsfield or any of our competitors at all. So I don't think that's a problem. The other one is, you know, we did target worldwide for a period of time here. For a couple of months, we spent a lot of ad budget to like really wank audiences. Like some of them were super cheap. Like you can see our conversion rates to purchase, like show to purchase. But then I'm like, it didn't really, like, I don't know, it didn't really change that much at all. So like, maybe it's the fact that we got a load of like cheaper countries in. It started targeting those people in like top countries. But then I would have expected that the cost per click would be cheaper. And so the only thing that I can think of is like the only metric here that has changed really is the show to purchase rate. Like the registration rate, 30%, 27%, 25%, 25%, 25%, 30%. Like it, I also changed the landing page a little bit and I've gone back to the old landing page, which is I think why we're now getting a 30 to 33% registration rate as of today. So that's made a slight difference. But like, do you see what I mean? Like if the targeting had been fucked, like if we had got really worse customers or like we're getting different leads coming through, I'd have expected to see that on the back end with the people that we're speaking to, our customers. Their quality seems the same. I would have expected to see everything on the front end also decrease / get cheaper. And I haven't really seen that too much. So, you know, it's either the fact that we targeted worldwide or it's the fact that we did a rebrand and we're now getting people questioning who the fuck we are because when they Google our company name and nothing comes up because it's rebranded, it's changed the fucking name. So anyway, the point is, long story short, this is why I'm testing all of this stuff here. Now, at the moment, the funnel is terrible. Like, we're just pushing people straight to a calendar. Like, once they purchase, they go to an upsell, and then when they get to the upsell, if they take the upsell or they don't, if they don't take it, they go to a downsell. If they take it, then they go straight to a cal.com link, which is basically just book a fucking call with me. That is terrible. I'll improve that. To be honest with you, like that's downstream. Like that is what we want to focus on second. I want to focus on this front end stats first. But you can start to see why I'm getting a little bit optimistic about this with the retention stats and everything. My only concern is like this is really strong. This is going to crush. Like this whole funnel will work at these stats here, which is why I don't have to spend much money to see whether or not this is going to work. This will work at these stats. The only thing is, will the webinar convert? Is the biggest question that I have right now. It's a brand new webinar that's not been tested on an organic audience. And the value stack doesn't exist. There's no anchor. There's no price drop. It's way more compliant. It has a lot of like earnings disclaimers and shit in it as well. So there's a lot to be kind of like said about, will that actually convert people? But we'll just have to spend money and find out. The other thing that I think is really interesting is if we go back to here on the webinar, look at this. So the retention on the other webinar and the conversion rate really wasn't that great. And my gut instinct is that the old webinar that we spent we did nearly $1 million through, that old webinar was built for an organic audience. It was built for an audience that came from my personal brand. And so basically what I was thinking is like, okay, that webinar, the old one, didn't answer loads of fucking questions about like internal beliefs, about can I do this? Do I have the ability? Do I have the experience? I haven't got any money to do this. I haven't got any time to do it. That kind of stuff doesn't answer any of those objections. Like literally not a single fucking one. The second thing is people had loads of questions about the opportunity itself. Like, can I do this as a complete beginner? Like, can I do this on my phone? Can I do this when I'm working? All that like stuff about like the actual opportunity. I don't want to tell too much about it, but like people had a lot of questions about that, and I didn't handle any of it. The other thing is the webinar assumes that they know what that is, and it assumes that they're a warm audience. So right at the beginning, it's like, hey guys, welcome into the class. Like, let me know where you're from. Say hi in the chat. Like, it was much more casual and friendly because it was a live webinar that I ran to my warm audience, whereas this one has been specifically tailored and built for a cold traffic audience. Now, I'm not going to show you like the whole webinar, obviously, but like we're in the biz ops space, and so what I'm doing is literally as soon as we start, I'm like, bang, here's what you're going to get out of this. Like here's how much you're going to earn, and then I'm going to say you do this even if you're a complete beginner. You can do this completely anonymous, and even if you only have an hour or two around your full-time job. And then I show a whole bunch of testimonials and reviews and stuff, which I'm not going to show you guys, but I show a whole bunch of testimonials, and then I tell them what exactly they're getting out of this class, which is you can do this as a complete beginner, you can do this around your job, your kids, and your social life, you can do this completely anonymously, even if everything else you've tried hasn't worked, even if tech isn't your strong suit, and I can show you how to fully automate this as well. So the theory being that if a complete cold person who's never heard or seen of me before, has no idea who the fuck I am, has zero trust, comes in, immediately they're hit with like, bang, here's what you're getting from this, here's something to excite you, to show you what is possible, and then here's what you're going to get out of this class within the first like 30 seconds. And so the idea is we skip all the nonsense, hey guys, where are you from, let me know in the chat, say hi, all that stuff, and we get straight into the meat and immediately try and hook people. And I think that's why we're getting better retention. So you can see here, this woman's still watching. She joined like 9:53 a.m. It's currently 10:12. They're still watching. They finished at 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. So like the retention, I think, is going to be a lot better because like literally think of it like this: if you're a cold prospect and you come in and then some dickhead's just waffling on about some nonsensical crap, you're not going to be interested. But if it's all tactical, this is for you. This is going to help you. You're going to get better retention. So I'm cautiously optimistic. Overall, we're getting a much better retention rate. We're getting a much better click-through rate. We're getting a much better cost per click. We're getting a much better registration rate. Like the front-end stats are looking good. It all now just stems on, will this thing actually convert? And if this converts, then it stems on, can we actually do this at scale? And then if we do it at scale, then it stems on, I don't know, it all comes down to, can we book them into a sales call to do high ticket? And can we ascend them? Because this is a really hard thing to do. This is the one thing that I don't think enough people talk about. And this is what I'm going to try and document. This is why I'm starting this content now, because I'm basically rebuilding a new funnel. And so essentially the theory being, right, everyone else who does high ticket, you spend dollars first, you then book them into a call, you then have to get them to show up to that call, they're completely cold, and you're trying to one call close them on a $3,000 offer. You're probably going to be spending maybe $1,000 to $1,500 to get one customer. And that money's going out and out and out and out and out before you can convert them. So my theory is, if I can get them to spend money with me, we sell them the software, and then we say, look, you need extra support, you need the one-on-one coaching, we'll show you how to use our software, get the most out of it, we'll give you extra credits, and like really spin up a much better kind of like sales angle. Get them all onto the sales call. I'm liquidating all of that spend before we even get anywhere. And that's basically what all this crap is, which is essentially like, even here, we get to the point where, let's say, for example, 107 people book onto a sales call, or 65% of them do. You get 70 book calls. Now, your net spend at this point is $2,000. Well, it is negative $2,000, right? Is I spent $46,000. Most people would spend $46,000 and book 70 sales calls, right? I don't know what that is, actually. Let's just do 46,000 divided by... So that's about $600 per call. you probably wouldn't spend that much, but like that's kind of where we're looking at. So rather than outlaying that much, I'm actually getting paid to book sales calls, which means I'm liquidating all of my front end ad spend. And so when people convert, like essentially the way you could calculate it is your net. So your net revenue against your net spend would be a mega fucking ROAS, because it's like $33,000 and I got paid $2,000 to make that 33 grand. It's the economics of this funnel are way better than just doing a clean just VSL book call funnel. But obviously the problem is what we don't want to do is our front end offer to kind of cannibalize our back end offer, which for us, we're in a unique position. We have a software product and then we have coaching. And so they shouldn't really cannibalize each other. You know, we get a lot of people who use our software asking for extra help. We actually upsell them a 15-minute call at the moment, and loads of people seem to be interested in that. They pay like we're charging $400 for a 15-minute call right now, and people are taking that. 20 to 25% of all of our customers take that option. And so my thinking is that if we just offer it in here for free, we're going to get a much better take rate. And so there's a lot to be seen of what happens here, but that's why I'm starting this channel, and we'll document this entire process. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and hopefully tomorrow we'll have some fucking sales coming in or whatever it is, but we'll see what happens.